Hey, all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and today I am here with Monica Brady from Golden Trailer Awards. Thank you for joining us, Monica.
Thank you for having me.
Great. The Golden Trailer Awards, can you tell us a little bit about those?
Well, it's what some people would call the Oscars for motion picture previews, the Oscars for trailers. And as the Wall Street Journal dubbed us, the Academy Awards for the short attention span, because our show is very fast. But we honor the best of the best in movie marketing. But we started out just awarding trailers, but over the last 24 years, that has grown to include all the new forms of marketing, from experiential to trailer bites, which are your online Instas, Snapchats, all that kind of stuff, are also included in the overall show. But on the night of our award show, we just do 12 of those categories. So,
why did you feel like we needed a trailer award show?
Well, I got out of film school. I went to NYU film school. Got out of film school. I had enough. Wanted to shoot a feature film, and my sister and I, we had enough money to cobble together a trailer, or so we thought. You know, we're just kids, so we just like, we could shoot a trailer, and we had no idea who cut trailers. We knew they're cut outside of the system, but we didn't know who cut them. And it's, 24 years ago, so it's pre-Google, so there's no real searching. And my sister said, well, there's got to be an award show for them. So we went looking for an award show to find who puts these trailers together, because not credited at the end of the trailer. They're not credited at the end of the film. They weren't credited anywhere. And so it was really out of a need for us to find them. And so we went for this, looking for an award show. There wasn't one. So Ev said, let's start one. We'll send out a bunch of applications, and that's how we'll find these editors. And then the Trailer Awards was birthed from that. And even in 1999, people are like, oh, the world doesn't need one more award show, but our show is fun. And they said, but the world does need fun. And it's the best part of going to the movies. And quite frankly, it's the best award show because it's for movies that we all want to go see. It's for every type of movie, but that's the feedback we always hear. It's like, I want to see everything now. So that's how it came about.
I think that's really important, that the moment you just made. I'm sorry. I think that's very important. The part you just said there, where they're for movies that we want to see, because I feel like, especially for the younger audiences now, they feel like maybe the Oscars or other award shows are starting to tailor towards Oscar movies and less so the movies they actually go and watch. Trailers might not be that way.
Yeah. So, like, for example, our best of show this year went to Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a great, teaser trailer, and it's coming out in July of this year. I don't know when this will air, but it's coming out in July of this year. And our show is always forward looking, which is very important. The Oscars looks back. It's a fine show for what it does, but the Oscars looks back. So ours looks forward, which trailers are always cut so far in advance of the movies. And then you have all these sorts of like little teasers and behind the scenes and stuff that come out as well. And for fans, we can access everything any time of day from any, device, and it's so important to keep that content out there to keep the audience satiated. And I just think in this day and age, with all the great content that's coming at us, the trailer makes it so easy for us to sort what we do want to watch, what we may want to watch, and what we definitely don't want to watch. So I think the trailer is one of the most important marketing components of any movie. And a lot of the content that, we're heading into the summer season. Summer started a week ago. And that historically has been the biggest time to go to the movies. People think it's like the Oscar season. It's not. It's the audience is now. It's for the summer. Quite frankly, to be honest, when I was a kid, I went to the movies because it was so hot in the city. Yeah. That was where the air conditioning was. So, that was based out of a need too. But they're the huge tentpole movie. So this summer we have Deadpool and Wolverine. We've got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And we have a whole bunch of, big tentpole movies. And people I'm a purist on that. I love going to see movies in theaters. I'll go by myself because then I'm with a group. And you see them with a group. And it's actually super fun to go to a big movie that has a lot of trailers running before it, to watch that with an audience, because you see their reaction in real time and it's honest. It's not any they'll shout at this. Well, I'm from New York, so I don't know they'll shout at the screen. every movie executive should go watch a movie in New York and just see the reactions. I'm sure that, they'll send their people out to do that, but it's quite eye-opening. There's no holds barred on that. So
Yeah, in the movie going experience, that's the one part where talking is okay, essentially. So I remember very well, like you lean over to your friend, like, "Oh, I can't wait for this," or you're almost discussing it as you're gearing up for whatever movie you came in for.
yes, that's it. Exactly what's happening. And you're actually saying things out loud so other people can hear you. You're engaging, but not engaging with others, and laughing together. That's engagement. And I think that's kind of missing. I know after the years of the lockdowns and then the strikes and stuff like that, it's been kind of a glut. The world started coming back to the theater after Maverick. And then last year we had Barbie and Oppenheimer. And there's been some great movies to go back and see. But it's just always exciting looking ahead to what they have next. So,
yeah. I have so many questions on the state of today, but I want to go back to those original roots. When you were starting out that first award show, I know it had to be hard. I know you guys had to get creative. Can you explain how that went? Oh
my gosh, so creative. First of all, it's also there's no like mailing list. Hey, this is a new award show. We're new. So the industry is based in California, as you know, but there's also ancillary, New York is the next, London's the next after that. But to communicate to all these people was difficult. And I don't actually know how the word got out. We did a campaign, but it's not like there wasn't really social media at that time. But we really knew we had a show. Also, they're coming in on VHS tapes. So this is 1999. I'm telling you, it was way different. Broadband's not around, so you can't send things like we do now. We knew we had a show when the company out of New York City called Geronimo entered a trailer called The Matrix. And it was a revolutionary trailer, revolutionary time. And, it was, what was it? The Star Wars episode 1's trailer was out that, I would talk the preacher to the choir here, but when you say episode 1, people think whatever year they were born into the Star Wars series. No, that's not it. So episode 1, which was a great trailer, came. So even the people came out from, they were nominated, and they actually said, they're like, we were nominated, we were up against The Matrix. We knew we were going to lose, but we had to see what all this was about. Not that they knew they were going to lose, but the Matrix trailer is so revolutionary. So those early years were quite difficult because it's it was putting on a show. We ran it off of 2 Avids, which was unheard of because Avids weren't set up to do that. You had to rent the Avids because each machine was like $100,000 each. So we had to rent them and run the show. And even the guy from Avid who came down from Boston, he was like, I wouldn't have done that. It was his machines, but everybody showed up, and it was a good time. And it's more we're very people focused. Trailers are cut for the audience. Trailers are to make people go see a movie or make them want to go see a movie. So it's cut for the audience. So our show is very forward facing towards an audience, and it's not B2B like what you could say, the Academy Awards would be more B2B. They're all preaching to the choir and they're great job. But this is really a trailer can make or break you, in the movie going world. And then now it's even crazier because sharing and all that kind of stuff, it really 10x the power of the trailer with, today's modern technology. But it was hard, but it was worth it. It's so fun. And we love the show, and that makes it all much easier. As you doing your show, think about it, you love it. And then so when you come up against a wall, you figure out a way around it. You're going to dig down below, punch a hole through it. You're going to get through it just because it's something that you really believe in and you really love. So so it was hard.
It's funny that you bring up the B2B stuff now because we're at the second year now where I've noticed upfronts have become sort of, I think they're becoming more and more popular amongst just the audience. So it's almost like the upfront trailers, which were not necessarily meant for the audience to see. Now we're catching them. And so they're trying to have to blend together a little bit.
Well, it's a fine line between where it's an audience member and where it's with an upfront would be a client, so it's the worlds have blurred. So they're cutting and all that content can get out too. So it has to always be, your best foot forward, because who knows somebody could be filming it and then it gets out online that way. All exciting, but you always have to put that best foot forward. Oh.
Yeah. The early days, I'm sure you didn't have very many categories. Now you have many categories. What goes into expanding the categories?
Well, that's a very good question. And you're the only person who's asked that. And I appreciate it, because we had started out with 23. Some of them, the Dark and Stormy Night, though a great concept, was hard to get across. Some great ones that we started out with that are still in the show: The Golden Fleece, which your audience will appreciate, is for a great trailer for a not so great movie. We've all seen them. We know them.
Oh, yeah.
And then Trashiest Trailer, which is a trailer that uses an excessive amount of camp or gore or sex to sell a film. And we all know them, and we all love them. I think Roger Corman was the father of that whole genre. But so over the years, it was that if something hit critical mass, then it would break off. So like, for example, documentary used to be just best documentary, but then it was so many entries. And then there was such a difference between a documentary that was a subject and a documentary that was a biopic about a person. They're very different. So they would break. Another great example, horror thriller used to be one category. And then there are very, very different horror trailers versus a thriller trailer. So once they hit a critical mass, we would break them apart. And then streaming, came along, and the people who made the TV shows wanted trailers just like the feature film. So whole divisions in trailer houses broke off just to cut streaming. And so that became a whole category. And actually this year, I still am impressed with the question. The series have reach critical mass where their TV spots will break off from their trailers. So right now we have just series and trailers, but next year there'll be a whole subcategories with TV spots for the series. So, and those break apart. Those broke apart many years ago for video, for theatrical releases versus TV spots, for trailers. And then sometimes it comes from just the audience. Like I think it was 2006. 2006, somebody said from the video game world says, we cut our trailers just like your trailers. And they sent us an example, and I wish I had the title. Oh, I should have anticipated this. But
2006, probably Halo 3 or Gears of War, which are both fantastic trailers.
And they said, so they were like, they are. And then people within the trailer industry for feature films, they cut trailers for video games. So it became a category, and it's been with us for a very long time. And I love that you know all of those. You're impressive, very impressive.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, 2006, and then like with 1999, I actually had a conversation with her name was Jenny Stevens, and she used to do the marketing for Fox back in the days in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they kind of made her in charge of the geek stuff because nobody else wanted to care about it. And so she was in charge of episode 1 and doing the marketing for that. Yeah. And so she was hungry for it. She did X-Files before that, and then she went off to do episode 1. And so now thinking back to that conversation and how like the excitement that they won an award for that trailer is just more marketing fuel. They could then take what was marketing and then turn it into new marketing with like the award-winning trailer now. So it's just a went down.
Yeah, no, it's such an impressive field. The men and the women who are they're so smart, so talented, and here's the thing. Every year, I think this year is the penultimate. Next year, it can't top it. And every year it does. And I'm just so impressed with the creative human spirit. It's so awe-inspiring. It's like, you just think you've reached it, and you're like, nobody can top that. And they do. And I'm just so impressed with them. And that's why another reason I love the show so much, just because it just puts a spotlight on them. So talented.
Starting back in those days too, I know obviously we're watching it on our phones now. There's far more trailers, I feel. But as of the actual structure and what they're showing us, how has trailers changed from 99 to 2024?
Another great question. They've gotten shorter.
Really?
Yes, much short. Well, if you go back to watch trailers from the 70s, they're like 7 minutes long, and you're like, oh my God, nobody today can watch them. And so today they're shorter. So when we started in 1999, they all pretty much clocked in around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now they clock in around 2 minutes, and 2 minutes, you would feel like a lot to the next generations, but they're beautiful. I think all pieces of art. And then nowadays you use more recognizable music is much more prevalent. And it might be a licensing thing. It might be easier to get the licenses, but back in the day it would be all like, stock music. But now because auditory recall is one of the most powerful things that they can use. So a great example is like the Requiem for a Dream trailer is used in Lord of the Rings, and it's what brings the audience back. They're like, oh, that song. And then if it sticks in their head, they've hit gold, the pay dirt there. If you're humming a song of a trailer that you've seen in the theater or on your TV, wherever you saw it, that's pay dirt. That's exactly what they want, because it's that stickiness that stays. So they've gotten shorter, more recognizable music. They take more chances. As you say, there's more of them, so they can. So if 1999, if the premiere place that you would see a trailer was in the theater, they're only going to cut like one, and that's going to play. But now they can, since you can see it on all different platforms, and you could target it. They'll cut for different groupings. They'll cut for different, age brackets, demographics, all sorts of demographics. They can slice and dice it. So there'll be more of them. And then what else? Other things that have changed. I think the length is the biggest one. So, and also what you already said is the way we receive them has completely changed. We can get them anywhere, anytime, and we'll watch them anywhere, anytime, waiting in. I would keep doing New York things. I realized that when I'm in California, nobody does. I'm like waiting for the bus. They be like, you watch a trailer, waiting for the subway. You can download and watch a trailer. So that's.
The fact that audio is so important, it reminds me of the first Suicide Squad trailer that came out. The movie did what it did. I'm not going to necessarily talk bad about it, but that trailer had Bohemian Rhapsody in it. And it goes back to the classic of, visuals give you information and the audio gives you the emotions. And right away I was like, oh man, Queen, this is great. And I was invested. I don't know if that trailer would be as memorable if it wasn't for its music,
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And it is memorable. And you could go back and watch it now just to get that emotion. The movie is neither here nor there in that scenario, but the trailer, it's a good movie. I just went back last week and watched the Logan trailer with Johnny Cash covering Nine Inch Nails, and that I cried again. I mean, I saw it how many years ago, and then I watched it a second time just because that emotion was there, and I was like, it is like going to a museum. It's like watching art. I know we sound super nerdy saying that. I don't care. It's the truth. And I don't care that I cry at the Logan trailer. It's good. But you can go back for that emotion, and that they can do that in 2 minutes for us. And I think that's why people, call trailers to us. It's why we like to go watch them. It's why we pull them to. It's the only form of advertising that people pull towards them. And I think it is because we get that emotional hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With trailers being shorter now, do you think they have to split it up in so many ways? Is it harder and harder now to not reveal the mysteries, the story that's actually in the product?
I think it's easier to keep that mystery with the shorter time frame. Okay. I think that the gentleman who cut the Matrix trailer, Phil DeCord, this is his saying that he said to me a long time ago, because in the industry they hear that all the time, that oh, the trailer gave it all away. And Phil said this. He said, if I give all the movie away in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, there wasn't much there to begin with. And I was like, touche. I couldn't say it better myself. So I repeat his quote because that is true. But with the shorter time frames, you can keep the mystery a little bit more. I think it's harder with comedies because they do pack a lot of jokes in there. But I love them. I really do. And also what's funny is like sometimes the timing in the trailer is just, we watch them so much that we just expect that timing from the trailer to be in the movie. And this was not a comedy, but Jarhead, there's a scene in it where they're talking on a hillside, and then there's a beautiful beat that's cut really well in the trailer where I can't do the Marines. It's hoorah, whatever they answer each other. So they know they're Marines. And then in the trailer, it's cut beautifully, but in the movie, they actually leave like 2 extra beats in it, and it just doesn't work as well. And since we were so
Yeah.
spoiled with the trailer, I was like, the long form editor, the editor of the film, should go back and recut that like the trailer editor. But who knows? So we get spoiled.
Those 70s trailers, though, like Westworld is one of my favorite old movies and stuff like that. If you remember watching those trailers, it was the same narrator that was like, in a world that would like basically tell you the story. I don't know why it's such a complaint nowadays, but they would like go beat for beat over everything.
Oh yeah, totally. That was Don LaFontaine, and we have the best voiceover award in our show is named for Don LaFontaine. He passed away a few years ago. I think he like at the height was like making $10,000 a second. I was like, and he only did a couple takes apparently. I never got to meet the guy. I met his wife, but I never got to meet him. But yeah, they would lay it out because it was I think in the 70s. It was probably a bigger deal to go to the movies. You know, call up and find. Was it calling up? Was it even a newspaper?
I don't even know if that was. Yeah, the phone might not be there. Like what is that? Movie phone. That's what it is.
It would have been the newspaper, right? And so they would have gone. It would have been a bigger deal. So I think they had one shot at telling these people the new movie coming out, and so they had to make it good, but or inundate them with enough information. But yeah, I don't know. It was a different form of cutting back then. I much appreciate and MTV changed all that attention span for the generation that, comes along next. It's like with MTV, all that fast cutting, which now if you look back at the early days of MTV, you'd be like, oh, this is slow, but it was revolutionary. So, and it was actually a gentleman, and we're doing a documentary too on the first 25 years of the show. It was a gentleman who cut trailers, Gary Canoe, and he was in New York, and he was on the ad side of things, and he cut trailers like advertisements. So he was like, they are ads, so let's cut them more like ads. So those, new form after the 70s and 80s. 80s was still a little long, I think, but those 70s ones, man. Whew.
Before we go any farther, just a heads up. My dog might bark. I'll make sure to edit it out, but it's so hot outside. I didn't want them to be outside. So.
Oh, no, of course.
Okay, yeah, I'll edit around.
There might be children. I'm at my brother's house.
Oh, there you go.
I told him it was graduation yesterday, so there could be children that run in and out. Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay, so we have the shorter expansion. We have the shorter attention. Let me say this again. We have a shorter attention span with today's audience, and with things like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, I feel like there's this attention hacking that we hear from like social media gurus where they know at 7 seconds you need to land this hit. Do you think that has penetrated into the movie trailer market yet?
I definitely think that there are moments that they have to hit, and those would be more formulaic. And I think the audience feels a more formulaic trailer, which I love about our show is that we get the outside the box, really, great trailers, and those resonate with audiences all around the world, and those better. But if you're watching a rote trailer, for lack of a better description, you feel that, and that feels like the paint by numbers. And there's a place for them. You got to get the audience watching your film. That's the main job of the trailers, to get them to watch the film. And if you made a movie and you can't get the better cutter or whatever, a formulaic trailer is fine, and you would want to go with what gets as we say, I say butts and seats. That's what you want. You want people watching your movie. So there's a place for that, but it's not and it's not a bad thing. But the trailers you remember are the original ones that stand out with great music, great cutting, and great beats. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. It's got to be complicated to be able to judge these. And you have a very big panel of producers, directors, A-list actors. How do you choose your jury for this?
People in the industry, people that are experts in their field. And as our categories have expanded, we've had to get lots of more jury members, and we divided to the 5 sections. So you have your feature film, you have your TV spot, you have there's people assigned to each section to watch it, because it is a lot of content for them to watch, and everyone's so busy these days. But it's usually an expert in their field, in all different types of field. We didn't want people in the industry judging on their own stuff, so it had to be directors, producers, music, video game people, oh my God, Tony Hawk was a judge one year. I mean, we get people
Nice.
from all over. He loved it, and people from all over, and they always do love, because everybody loves trailers. It's like one person out of thousands I meet. They're like, who doesn't like trailers? Who like? Where do you come from?
Yeah.
And the conversation quickly ends after I start talking to them. I'm like, yeah, going that way. But it's a fun process, and it's kind of like who's in the zeitgeist too now, you know. And we just reach out, and people like to do. It's also great if you're a director or a producer. It's also a great experience to get exposed to lots of different, you know, cutters. And then like I don't know if I guess I'm allowed to say it was years ago now. So Tom Cruise's producer was one of our jury members one year, and she called us up with a list of 100 trailers, and she's like, "Who cut?" Because it's anonymous. So afterwards, she hand did a list of, you know, trailers that she wanted to know who cut them. So it was like it's a great exposure to that.
That is, yeah. You almost, yeah. That's how the marketers get their marketing. Yeah, that's good too. So, okay, do they give you, or is it just voting, or do they actually give you a reason why they voted for any of these particular categories?
It's numerical, 1 to 10, and you can go out to a percentage, and you can abstain if you have a conflict of interest. You can abstain. It's interesting because it is short form content, right? And so we were one of the early programs, you know, because people often lop us in with like a film festival. We're not a film festival, we're an award show, but where people, you know, broadband was large enough that they could upload their content into an online system. Now that seems very, you know, commonplace, but you know, as I said, we started out duping VHS tapes. Then we moved on to CDs and DVDs, and we would have to send these things around the world too. And then, but then, you know, technology caught up to us, and they could upload their content and put it in the categories they felt it, you know, was suited for. And because not only you could have a movie that is not necessarily a comedy, but cut it as a comedy, like what's the Jason Bateman one where he was in the spelling guy? Oh, it's such a great trailer. It's a couple of Mark Wolin and Associates. I'll think of it. It's couple of years old now, but the trailer is so funny. But if you watch the movie, it's very tragic. You feel very sorry for the Jason Bateman character, but you know, he's known as for comedy. So I think the trailer gears, and you're not disappointed. It's a great trailer, great movie, but a very different movie than the trailer makes it feel. We were on something. Like, yeah. Oh yeah. So they can sorry. I'll say again, our online vote adjudication system has, you know, kept it up with the times, and we can upload you can enter as many trailers as you want, and we can send it out all around the world to a jury pool all around the world with the click of a button. So very happy for technology every day of my life.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then in passing, have you noticed that maybe directors favor comedies or actors favor ensemble movies? Have you noticed any trends amongst your jury on what they favor?
Not really, because it is anonymous. We don't really go back and scrutinize any of that. But, you know, if I were a data person, that would be interesting. But we tell them it's anonymous and that they wouldn't be, so we don't look into any of that, because that would break that anonymity. I can't say that word. I'm not gonna even try.
I'm not even gonna try it either, actually.
It would break our NDA, which is what it would
break. There you go.
That is a hard word to say.
Yeah, meanwhile, I think it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah,
I think it'd be interesting to see if, like, say, directors really favor, like, they like the big cinematic movies or something like that, because it's something that they might know better than just trying to get a bunch of actors to laugh on set. Not just, but you know what I'm saying. I wonder if there's some trends there. That'd be pretty interesting.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. With the 24 years ahead of you, you have so much. 24 years behind you and so much ahead of you. How are you planning for the future for the GTAs?
Well, we cut a couple categories out of the show this year for the live show, so everybody's attention span is getting shorter, and it's not a bad thing. It's just it is the way we all are because of our phones and our our computers and all that kind of stuff. So we've made our show shorter. It really clocks in at 80 minutes now. And so but we're going to do a bigger push to online to go global, because in the early days, our show, as I said, is always geared for, a TV audience, an audience, and much more so than, say, the Oscars or the Golden Globes, because that's just like watching a bunch of fancy people in dresses, and suits. It's not very interesting but ours is, because it's clips of the trailers and then the winner is, and then you could root for your favorite one. So we made it a bit shorter. We will keep our eye on anything that needs to expand like that, because, experiential, some of my favorite categories are the experiential, where, like, for example, zombie strippers, they took over a club in Las Vegas, and all these people and these hidden cameras everywhere, or the one for The Ring, where they took over and made a fake TV sales place, and then there was one of the TVs was active. That stuff is brilliant. And so, keeping our eye out for what is fresh and new. It changes in the years ahead. So we'll go for a global audience. So we will, be seen around the world. That's, just to get great content out there to be seen, a bigger audience. That's what we're going for. But in the early days, we thought it was a television audience, and now we've kind of outlived the usefulness of television, because not many people watch linear TV, and so online is the way to go. And our packets are, geared so if you wanted to just watch, the thrillers, you can just watch Best Thriller and then be done. You don't have to watch, if horror's not your thing, then you don't have to watch it. So you can pick and choose the way you see, the packets. So it's a pretty modern way.
Yeah, that's where the trailers audience is going too. They're not watching linear TV, watching their trailers that way either. So it makes sense to make the shift.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to linear TV. It's very strange. Not my problem.
I'm listening to vinyl records again, so you never know. It might just come back, Oh,
I love the sound of vinyl, though.
Yeah.
You never know.
I was just telling a friend of mine that it's like, there's something about knowing it was captured in the room, and like that day, if you get a 77 Don Ho or something like that, it's actually that record, Yeah.
I love the way your brain works. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a captured moment in time.
Yeah. So, as you're aiming for the future, we also have the rise of vertical videos. Do you see that affecting trailers a lot? Because as somebody who shares clips online, I'm constantly having to go from vertical to horizontal and back and forth. What do you think about that?
Well, so we see that in the trailer bites. We see that the aspect ratio. And then a lot of times it seems to just square it off so that they're safe in all of the formats. As long as cinema is this way, and I don't see that changing. I'm sorry, and I'm doing this for an audience that's only listening.
Horizontal, yeah.
As long as the aspect ratio is horizontal in cinema, I see that changing. For marketing, them incorporating that so people can share, but I don't see it taking over.
Yeah.
But who knows what the future holds? That would be really weird to see vertical cinema. Go to the theater and see the screen.
It's been pitched, but it hasn't landed yet. Like, there's a whole QB streaming service. The idea was that it was all vertical, but it just didn't land. And it's like, okay, good. We got past somebody trying it. Somebody put money behind it. That's done. So hopefully
a lot of it for a while. A lot of money behind. Wow.
I was a subscriber just because I'm like, well, I'll give it a shot. And I was not a subscriber for long.
Good on you. Yeah. And I forget who bought all that content. One of the streamers did.
I know Dropout got some of it. College Humor became Dropout, their own streaming service now. So I think they got us a couple. I think Game Changer came from that, something like that. So
College Humor became Dropout. I love that.
Yeah, I know, right? Great company names.
Perfect.
Looking back at your illustrious career and this amazing GTA, can you bring back some of the most memorable moments from the past?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because it goes. The show started out in New York and went back and forth between the two different coasts, and that was hard. The industry is based in Los Angeles, and so we after the 9th year we had to we're permanently there. That's permanently where the show is going to be. But then, the pandemic hit, and we ended up doing a show from Greenville, Tennessee, because Los Angeles and New York were shut down, and we'd already been paused for a year and a half. And we're like, well, we had to do something. If we didn't go, what would happen? And so we did a live show with Leanne Morgan, who's from Tennessee. And it was, there were people in the audience. It was just different. And Leanne's career took off. So that was cool. Just memorable moments. There's so many fun ones. And we're doing a documentary. So some of them do come out like, I'm just trying to think.
What about the Golden Airstream at the Sundance?
Oh my gosh, those were fun and scary days too, because our brother found a trailer in the middle of Ohio, I think it was, and the guy didn't want to sell him the trailer. So there's an abandoned trailer for sale in the guy's yard. It had a little tiny for sale sign in it. And Matt goes up and knocks on the guy's door and says, I'm looking for Air Street trailer. Do you want to sell me this one? And the guy's like, no. And clearly it says for sale. And so, Matt is like walking away. Our brother's walking away. And the guy goes, what was Elvis's favorite movie? And Matt, you're in the middle of nowhere. And Matt's like, turns around and answers him because he's an Elvis fan. He's like, I think he said The Trouble with Girls. And the guy goes, why? And Matt's like, because it's the first movie Elvis got to really act in. And the guy goes, all right, I'll sell you the trailer. So it turns out apparently the original trailer that is now somewhere here in Southern California was Elvis's trailer in one of his movies, his trailer on set in one of the movies. And the guy was very protective of it. It was a wreck. It needed to be gutted. But the guy wouldn't. The funny thing is, the guy wouldn't sell it to him until Matt answered the best Elvis movie. Thank God he had seen one, Yeah. And so then sold him the trailer, and then Matt gutted it and turned it into a movie theater. So it had a very large screen TV in it, and it made it look like a movie theater. It had 13 seats, and we pulled it around to the festivals because my sister has ADD. Evelyn, who couldn't be here with you guys today, she has ADD, as we all kind of do. And she said, I was looking at a book from Sundance, and she's like, I can't read it. They're always like 2 paragraphs about their film. She's like, I can't read any of these. If they had a place where I could go watch all the trailers, I'd know what I'd want to go see. So ding, experiential marketing. She's like, I'm bringing a trailer. So the next year she hadn't even really started the GTAs at that time. So she brought the trailer out to Sundance. And so there we are traveling from New York to Sundance, get up into the mountains, and there's no weight on the back of the trailer. We don't. It's going all over the highway. There are a lot of close calls. You get to Sundance, it's like you have to dig out snow patches to get it in there. But those early days were so fun because, just different filmmakers would come and bring their trailer to show in our trailer, bring people to come see it to get financing or just for people to watch it. So, there was a lot of fun things that happened and because of that. And now it's funny. So that's like 2000, 2001. And last year at the Cannes Film Festival, so this past one in May, a couple of weeks ago, Porsche did the same thing, but made it a tractor trailer and made it a movie theater. We're like, come on, it's Porsche though, so it's like uber high end, and you're like, but back in the scrappy days, that was real and fun, and people would just bring a few beers or hot cocoa or whatever, and just sit in the trailer and watch people's trailers, and it was organic and it was real. So those are moments I'll always remember. Getting hosts every year is always a fun challenge. I mean, we've had Kathy Griffin, we've had Dennis Miller, we've had TJ Miller, who was fantastic. We had Marlon Wayans. So we have so many great trailer hosts. We've had so many great hosts over the years, and there's just always an adventure in getting all of them and just getting the show accomplished. It's always fun, but it's always work, but good work. There should be work involved in all projects. So.
But hauling that trailer and thinking about like how stuffy those events, those film festivals can be, and then you got this little trailer showing I think that set the vibe for the entire show going forward. And that's, I think, why a lot of people enjoy it, because it's like, hey, I like the vibe of this crew, so I want to be involved,
Yeah. And it's for the people. It's really Evan. It really belongs to the people. It's for the people, and it's about our favorite thing, movies, and what to watch next. So.
Yeah. And trailers is us celebrating the upcoming movie. We get to celebrate. Nowadays, they release them every couple months and we get to talk about them. It's in the zeitgeist for a while. So why not celebrate the celebration? That's fun.
Exactly. And it's funny because that movie that we're going to shoot after film school was based on a book. And in the book, it's a book called, she always gets mad when I say it, because eventually someday, we haven't made the movie yet. I knew you were going to ask that question because you're on things. We adapted it and it's ready to go. I shot a different feature film. I shot a low budget horror film. But in that book, the main character is at a drive-in theater, and way back when drive-ins and things, they did double features and they ran trailers. Just like in Roadhouse, they ran Roadhouse. I just said that in between. So the trailers ran in the middle of the films back then. And the main character in that book that started the whole Golden Trailer Award stops and looks at the trailers. He's going to get a snack at the snack stand. He stops and he looks at the trailers on the screen and he goes, "I always have to stop for the trailers. They give me hope that there's something in the future." And I'm like, it's so perfect that that book birthed the Golden Trailer Awards, and the writer of that book likes that too. I was like, because it was written in the 70s. It's just weird. It's just weird how things work out, and you can't ignore that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, that line too, how poignant! Like that's a really good line. Love that.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll have to make that movie someday.
We have to make that movie, and I think you just found the tagline for it too. So that's perfect.
Yeah. I'm calling you.
May 29th, 2025. That's when we have the next GTAs. But you also have this documentary. Do we have a date for that yet, or an idea about when?
That will also be in the fall of 2025. And it's about the show is the backbone, but it's how the industry changed. There's a lot of those questions that you're asking, and just the technology and the ping-ponging back and forth, and how all that changed, and the advent of broadband and all that kind of stuff. It's not the advent of broadband, but broadband didn't really take off till 2001, 2002, and that changed the whole landscape for trailers, for movies, for everything. And we're incorporating all of that, but the how we'll get there, the roadmap will be the history of the show, but it's really about the industry. So we're very excited about that. That'll be the fall of 2025. And you're coming to the premiere, and you're coming to the show next year.
Honestly, I can't wait. This movie already this documentary, I already want to watch it. So I'm very excited for that. We'll have to have you, and we'll bring Evelyn on if she wants to discuss the movie when it's about ready to come out too.
We would love that. We would be very grateful.
Well, Monica, I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. That was great.
This is so enjoyable. I'll back anytime.
That'd be great to hear. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, all the links in the description. Make sure you follow everything up, and we'll see you next time. Bye.